In this video, we're going to look at equations that have fractions in them, and also we're going to look at simplifying complex fractions. Let's look at the equation. Solve negative 1/3 equals x minus 3/4. The key to solving this is to get x by itself. We have to get rid of that minus 3/4. The way we do that is add 3/4 to both sides. That's going to cancel it out on the right side, just leaving x. So we add 3/4 to the left side, negative 1/3 plus 3/4. We add 3/4 to the right side, x minus 3/4 plus 3/4. Well, the minus 3/4 and 3/4 add up to 0, and x plus 0 is equal to x. So we just have x on the right. We have negative 1/3 plus 3/4. Now we still have to combine those two fractions. To combine negative 1/3 and 3/4, we need a common denominator of 12, since 12 is the least common multiple of 3 and 4. We can turn negative 1/3 into twelfths by multiplying by 4 over 4, and we can turn 3/4 into twelfths by multiplying by 3 over 3. We do this, and we get negative 4 twelfths plus 9 twelfths. Now we can add these two fractions with the same denominator together to get 5 twelfths. So we have 5 twelfths equal x, and that's our solution. Well, here's some more examples of solving equations with fractions. We're going to start by looking at the equation solve negative 2/3 equal x plus 5/11. To get rid of that plus 5/11, we subtract 5/11 from both sides. So we have negative 2/3 minus 5/11 on the left, x plus 5/11 minus 5/11 on the right. On the left side we have negative 2/3 minus 5/11, but on the right side we just have x plus 0, which simplifies to x. Now we just need to combine those two fractions with subtraction. They need a common denominator, and that's the least common multiple of 3 and 11, which is 33. We multiply negative 2/3 by 11 over 11, since 3 times the 11 makes the denominator of 33. When we do that, we take the negative 2 times 11 to give us negative 22, and the 3 times 11 to give us 33. We multiply 5/11 by 3 over 3 because 3 times 11 makes 33 in the denominator. So we multiply the 5 times 3 to give 15, and the 11 times 3 to give us our 33. Now we have to combine those two fractions with subtraction. We have negative 22 33rds minus 15 33rds. We have a negative subtracting a positive. That gives us a bigger negative. That's like adding negative 22 33rds to negative 15 33rds. That makes negative 37 33rds, and that's our answer for x. In the second example, we solve the equation negative 36 equals 4x. 4x means 4 times x. The way we get rid of that 4 that's multiplied by x is to divide by 4. And we divide both sides by 4. And this results in negative 36 over 4 equals 4x divided by 4. The 4x divided by 4 simplifies to x because the two 4's cancel. And we have negative 36 over 4 equals x. But negative 36 over 4 means negative 36 divided by 4. And that results in negative 9. So our answer here is x equals negative 9. Now let's look at a word problem. The example here is negative 3/8 is equal to 10/3 of a number. Find the number. Well, first we have to translate this to words. Negative 3/8 is the fraction, negative 3/8. 10/3 is the fraction. The word of in these word problems means multiply. So we have negative 3/8 is or equals 10/3 times a number x, where we let x be our number. So that's our equation. Negative 3/8 equal 10/3 times x. We want x all by itself. 10/3 is multiplied by x. We could divide both sides by 10/3, but there's even an easier way to get rid of that 10/3, and that's to multiply both sides by 3/10. If we do that, we get 3/10 times the negative 3/8, and then we have 3/10 times the 10/3 x on the right. Now 3/10 times 10/3 x, that gives us 30 over 30 times x. Well, 30 over 30, that simplifies to 1. So the right side simplifies to just 1x, and that's the whole idea. On the left, we have to do that fraction multiplying operation. We have to take the 3 times the negative 3, and we have to take the 10 times the 8 in the denominator. So 3 times negative 3 is negative 9 over 80 in the denominator. So negative 9/80 equals 1x, and that simplifies to negative 9/80 equals x. Now let's look at some complex fractions. A complex fraction is a fraction containing fractions. Here's an example. 3 1/4 minus a sixth all over 5/8 minus 1 1/3. The trick to simplifying complex fractions is to simplify everything on the top of that major bar there in the middle and write it into one fraction, and then simplify everything bottom of that major fraction bar into one fraction. Once you get a fraction divided by a fraction, you just invert and multiply, and then you can write as a single fraction. And what I would recommend here is to turn the mixed numbers into improper fractions. That just makes things a little bit simpler, and I think probably easier with everything going on. So we take that 3 1/4 and turn it into an improper fraction. You take 3 times 4 is 12 plus 1. That makes 13/4. Then we have minus our 1/6. In the bottom, we take that 1 1/3 and we write it as 4/3, since we take 1 times 3 plus 1 makes 4 over 3. So now we have our problem turned into just 2 fractions subtracted in the top and 2 fractions subtracted in the bottom. Okay, now we have to do the subtractions. We need common denominators in both the top and the bottom. In the top, we have 13/4 minus a sixth. The common denominator there is the least common multiple of 4 and 6, and that happens to be 12. We turn 13/4 into 12ths by multiplying 4 by 3 and 13 by 3. 13 times 3 is 39. 4 times 3 is 12. 1/6 is turned into 12ths by multiplying 6 by 2 and also 1 by 2. 1 times 2 is 2. 6 times 2 is 12. In the denominator, we have a different common denominator. We have to subtract 5/8 minus 4/3. The least common multiple of 8 and 3 is 24. We multiply 8 times 3 and then 5 times 3 to get 15/24. 4/3, we multiply 3 times 8 and then also 4 times 8 to make 32 over 24. So we have common denominators in the top of that big fraction and common denominators in the bottom. In the top, 39/12 minus 2/12 makes 37/12. In the bottom, 15/24 take away 32/24. Well, we're taking away more than we have. We end up with a negative quantity of negative 17/24. So now we have the fraction 37/12 divided by negative 17/24. That's the equivalent of dividing 37/12 by negative 17/24. We divide fractions by inverting the fraction we're dividing by and multiplying. We're dividing by 17/24, so that's the fraction we invert. We write this as 37/12 times negative 24/17. Now we can do a little canceling here, because 12 goes into 12 once, and 12 goes into 24 2 times. And notice what I've done with that negative sign. We have a positive times a negative. I've just moved the negative sign out in front. We're going to end up with a negative answer, so that I just put it out in front. We have negative of 37 over 1 times 2 over 17. We can't do any more canceling, so now we multiply numerators together and multiply denominators together. 37 times 2 is 74. 1 times 17 is 17, and we have the minus sign associated with our answer, negative 74/17.